So we are on Tuesday the 7th of March. I've just realised that here I am out on a walk with Lottie and there isn't a breath of wind. And I thought, why aren't I doing a recording? Because usually I get plagued by it. So yeah, just a quick one because we're already part way through our walk. But it's kind of a note to say hello. Let you know how things are going. I was kind of hoping to be at the end of the very messy first draft of the latest Devonshire mystery by the end of the week. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but things are moving kind of thick and fast, and I'm having lots of ideas that are making it better. It's interesting how new ideas can come at this late stage in the book. I'm thinking about incorporating some little things that have happened as well, which I quite like. For instance, I won't give an example of this because it'd be a spoiler, but in the past, say, in Mystery in May, and I had a nice email about this the other day, there is a gentleman doing some wood turning on a pole lathe, a very old kind of lathe that was worked with your feet and sort of made in situ in the middle of a forest so that woodworkers could work where their materials were, I guess. And a gentleman who'd had decades of woodworking experience had sent me an email and said he'd appreciated that inclusion. And that was something that happened because I was at a village fair, just like Dan was in that story. And there was exactly that. There was a demonstration of it. There was a gentleman letting people come up and have a go. So I had a go. There's probably a photo on the website somewhere. Mrs. C took a photo. And yeah, I had a little go at it. And so it was quite interesting that I was able to bring that in and just write from that experience. Now, it wasn't a particularly, well, everything ties in the plot, actually. So it kind of was significant. Now, if that hadn't happened, I don't know whether that character would have come about in quite the same way. Let's go this way, Lottie. And the description of that character and so on were inspired by real events. I didn't copy him. He didn't have the same name as Reg, the character in the book. He didn't look exactly like him, but there was something about him that would have made it into it, if you see what I mean. Because you kind of imagine, you know, what would that person be like, and then that's where the character comes from, just really from imagining that person's life, their background, what their situation is. It all kind of comes together. And something happened the other day at Totnes. I put some pictures on the website, the latest lot from little visit to Totnes, which was actually very busy when we were there, but the pictures make it look quiet, but so I took them later on. Narrow streets, and they get kind of full of shoppers and I guess tourists, but interesting little place. Don't know why I haven't set a Devonshire mystery there yet, because as I say on the website, it's full of kind of, I don't really like the phrase alternative lifestyle people, because a lot of this stuff is very mainstream now anyway, and it's a bit of a clunky phrase, but I think you probably kind of know what you mean. I can't think what an alternative would be. So it's, you know, it's a small town, but it's relatively easy to find vegetarian and vegan restaurants, for instance, which isn't always easy to do. And there's all kinds of independent shops. To give you an idea, there's a chain of coffee shops called Acosta over here, owned by a big group who also run lots of pubs, I believe. Anyway, when they wanted to build a coffee shop in the town, the residents got a petition against it, because what they said was they wanted all their little independent places to survive and thrive. Now, I'm not quite sure what I think about that, because, you know, obviously people can compete, but I could see where they're getting what they're getting at, because so many high streets are exactly the same in the UK. Certainly in England, you go around and you see the same shops, and they're not particularly inspiring. They all sell the same stuff, and you could be anywhere. You get that feeling sometimes. You're in a town, you think, well, I could be anywhere. And this is very different. This is kind of an interesting and a unique experience. And there's things like a harp shop, you know, which I'm not sure how many people playing harps there are that can support it, but it did sell a few other musical instruments as well, but it was billed as a harp shop. And I think it's really nice. I like to see little independent shops and to support them, and little independent coffee shops and cafes. It's quite a nice feeling going into those places. You enjoy the experience and you're kind of supporting a local business as well. It's really nice. So many have gone. So many have been crushed by the juggernaut of online retailers, particularly things like Amazon, I have to say. They've sort of taken over, or tried to take over a lot of our retail experience, haven't they? I mean, you know, I sell books on Amazon, and that's where a lot of my readers are, but I don't agree. Doesn't mean I agree with everything they do. So, yeah, that is the reason that I do sell on the other shops and in libraries as well, so that the choice is there for you. And you know, if you'd like to go and try somewhere else, like the Nook store by Barnes and Noble, or Kobo, which is a big one all over the world. And Kobo also have something called Kobo Plus, which is a subscription service, and then you can read, you know, all the books in the scheme. My books are opted into that scheme, so they're available in that way. And then through Overdrive and some other library apps as well, like Borrow Books, and a new one called Palace something, which is a big non-profit organisation that supports libraries. So worth asking at your local library if you'd like to read any of my e-books or audiobooks. I opt everything in whenever I can to the library schemes. There might be some of my older sci-fi books that, in fact, there definitely are, that haven't made it that far yet, and that's just a question of me taking time off from the Devonshire Mysteries to sit down and republish everything in different places, and it just takes a bit longer than you might think. So you've got to do it right, step by step, but they will be there. So yeah, paperbacks are already available for people, and the Devonshire Mysteries paperbacks can be ordered by libraries. Hopefully that's all gone through by now. It can take a while for things to appear in the catalogues, and the e-books should be there, and the audiobooks, there are only a couple of them, and they should be there as well. Actually, people sometimes ask me, they put a comment on Facebook or something saying, are the others being done in audio? I would like them to be, the other Devonshire Mysteries. I did approach a company that does a really good job of producing audiobooks, and they said, you know, they thought they looked great, but they didn't have room in their schedule. That might change later, which was a bit of a shame. So I might have a cast around and see if there's anybody else who might be willing to take up that on, because otherwise, if I have to do it myself, which is what I did for the first couple, and it took me rather a long time. You've got to find the narrators, kind of listen to auditions, and then you've got to kind of proof listen to it. And I ended up with a study in Stone and Valley of Lies being done by different narrators, and I don't think that's ideal for people. Really, I'd like to get the whole lot redone, all by the same narrator, and, you know, take it through to be a nicer experience. So it is a time-consuming and can be very expensive process. So that's why there's a delay on those. But we'll see what we can do. Okay, well, I've kind of come back to the point where I crashed down through some bracken back down onto the lane. Lottie stood waiting, looking at me, saying get a move on. So I'll probably sign off there. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you especially to those of you who bought or borrowed and reviewed books. That's wonderful. And a huge extra special thank you to people who sent me a mug of tea via the coffee.com button on my website. And some people are even kind enough to do that every month. So I get a little donation every month, which is really great. That all kind of adds up, and it already helps. And I should be needing a hot drink when I get home with Lottie, because my hands are getting cold now. Weather has gone a bit wintry again after some beautiful spring weather. We're in for a bit of wintry weather. There's some clouds coming down the Team Valley towards me as I speak. I can see the hills that I could see a minute ago are kind of disappearing. So I think I'd better dash home. I might get rained on. Forecast for a bit of snow tomorrow, which is outrageous really here in Devon. We don't get it very often, especially not in March. Okay, so look after yourselves, take care, happy reading, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.